Welcome everyone to this evening's special council meeting. I'd just like to remind our elected members, if you have any conflicts of interest this evening, that you indicate that and fill in the appropriate form at the time. Introductions of our elected members tonight. We have Councillor Mann, Councillor Mackenzie, Councillor Burns, Councillor Kemp, Councillor Schofield and Councillor Henderson present at the moment. We have our directors. We have Kelly Knight Stacey, Graham Pathhouse, Karen Rokosinski, Victoria McCurdy, and Jodie Roberts. We'll move on to I'd like if Marilyn could read our acknowledgement of country and diversity commitment, if we all stand, and if Councillor Kemp and Councillor Burns could do the service acknowledgement and prayer.
The City of Victor Harbor acknowledges the Ramangiri and Narrandjeri peoples, traditional custodians of the land and surrounding waters where we live and work. We acknowledge their deep spiritual connection to country and pay our respects to the elders past, present and those still emerging. This respect is also extended to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across Australia. Diversity commitment. The City of Victor Harbor is committed to diversity, equity and inclusion. We respect people of all ages, abilities, genders, sexualities, religions, beliefs, cultures and backgrounds.
This one. Service acknowledgement. We recognise the brave individuals who have served and continue to serve our nation. We remember those who have lost their lives and pay the ultimate sacrifice to service to our country.
Prayer. Almighty God, we ask you bless this council and allow it to be an agent of change to the people of this city and beyond. Direct and prosper its deliberations to the honouring of your name and the welfare of the people whom it serves. Amen.
We have an apology from Mayor Moira Jenkins. Our first item on the agenda is 4.1, and that is looking to adopt the annual business plan and budget to go out to public consultation and to also adopt the engagement plan to go out as well.
Councillor Mann.
Yes, Councillor Mann.
I'm happy to move that with a slight amendment to the recommendation.
Could you please put your wording that you'd like to put up?
Yeah, thank you. So the recommendation that Council approve the draft 2026/27 annual business plan and budget provided attachment 1 for the purposes of public consultation in line with the communication and engagement plan provided at attachment 2 and incorporate the feedback provided by the Audit and Risk Committee, including the inclusion of the financial sustainability / COVID catch-up percentage rate increase of 1.5%.
I'm happy to second that, Councillor Henderson.
Okay. Councillor Mann, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thank you very much. No, as we've all discussed in the briefing earlier and the audit committee that I had the privilege of being on earlier today, I guess a lot of that concern was primarily around council needing to include that sustainability increase that we've had earmarked in our long-term financial plan and that has been consulted with the community. Obviously, where we would sit without that was that 4.9%. And yes, we would all prefer to put that out to the community. But I think we do need to incorporate the concerns of our independent members and the Audit and Risk Committee in the sense of council gave the community no rate increases and then below CPI increases for a number of years when we thought things were going to be as hard as they could ever get during COVID. Unfortunately, things haven't gotten as good as we'd hoped they would get now, and there's still those concerns. But the more that we delay those payments, what is 1.5% this year is 1.7 the year after, and then 2 the year after that. And I think we need to be being financially responsible and incorporating that feedback and putting that out to the community around. We're just looking at CPI plus the amount, an amount of 1.5% to catch up. Noting we're going to have to do a catch up across a few years because there was a few years where we gave the community a bit of reprieve, and they're aware of that. That's what we have discussed with them over the years. Yes, they probably the savings you have one year, you forget about the next year because you just focus on the bottom line. I think that's the difficulty we have, and that's how I think the administration will incorporate a lot of that feedback around the messaging and the background that the audit committee have recommended for us to just amend slightly within that business plan. And of course, as usual, we'll listen to that feedback that comes back and before we proceed to adoption.
Through the Deputy Mayor, can I also, we did have a note up there, so just in addition to your additions to the motion, the public meeting that must be scheduled as part of the annual business plan and budget consultation. In the draft, it had it as the 25th of June. Now, I noted and realised on Friday after the agenda went out that given council has endorsed the mayor to attend ALGA, and I will be at ALGA, that would be a meeting which would not have either of us there, and I don't think that is appropriate. So we've changed that public meeting date within the draft to be the 30th of June, and we would like that noted as well. Either we can do that as a separate motion or you can incorporate it in yours. I just wanted to check.
To include that as mine with the seconder's approval. Yep.
Okay.
Councillor Henderson, are you happy to extend change that date in the?
I'm very happy with that. Yes.
Councillor Henderson, would you like to speak to the motion?
I don't think I need to add anything to what Councillor Mann's already said. He's put it very nicely and succinctly. Thank you.
Would any other members like to speak to this particular motion?
Councillor Burns.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I will be supporting this because it's talking about going out for consultation, not adoption. Normally with rates, I struggle if it's going to be higher than CPI, but in this case, I think it's important to explain to the community why we're initially looking at just CPI and why we are proposing or council's talking about that additional amount, what the concerns of the Audit and Risk Committee. And I think it's really important that the community understand that. We'll get feedback, they're either supporting it or not, but they need to understand if we don't do it now, it has to be done at some point.
Would anyone else like to speak to the motion?
Councillor Mann, I'm happy to close.
Go ahead, Councillor Mann.
Yeah, thank you. No, I think it's an excellent point Councillor Burns raises. I think the thing around the messaging as well is if you look at this rate rise and then you compare it with the CPI rises of what they should have been since COVID, we would still be below CPI. But when you look at it on an individual year, yes, this year it's gonna be CPI in a little bit, but that's because in previous years it was below CPI or no CPI. So I think that's where really we're looking at this in the context of, it's not additional rate rising for the sake of rate rising. It's, hey, we've given you a discount in 1 year when your community called for it, and we've got to be financially responsible to try and bring that gap back. So I think it's an excellent point you've raised, and I hope we get some feedback from the community around this.
I'd now like to call for a vote. So all those in favour, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Fantastic. That's great to see that go out and get it underway and see what the community has to say. Thank you. Now we're up to 4.2, and this is regarding the $2.5 million federal grant that we've received. So I will get the CEO to read the exact wording out for us so that I don't mess it up.
Thank you. Through the Deputy Mayor, that Council accepts the Commonwealth Government grant for the amount of $2.5 million for the Regional Community Sport and Recreation Precinct, and authorise the Mayor and CEO to sign and affix the common seal to the funding deed under the Regional Precinct and Partnership Program.
Do we have a mover?
I'll move that.
Councillor Henderson, would you like to speak to it?
No, I think it's obvious we're going to accept this.
Councillor Schofield, do you want to speak? No, thank you. Anyone else that likes to speak?
Councillor Mann.
Go ahead.
Just starting with a question. Understand the state budget is this week. Is there any indication of whether that may include the remaining gap funding for the sporting precinct, or is that something that could be done, or I'm not sure what the likelihood may be?
Through the Deputy Mayor. So we have submitted a funding submission to Treasury. We've had advocacy on all fronts from a number of bodies, including Lou Nicholson. So we will just have to wait and see.
Excellent. No, I think it's awesome that we've got this grant from the federal government. We certainly put the work in. I just really want to thank the administration team and everyone involved, because I know there was a lot of work to get this money. And I know the community just see the headlines of his 2.5 million, but I think they don't appreciate what goes into that, the amount of information and research and documentation, and then the constant following up as well. So I really want to thank the federal government, but really extend that thanks to administration for the work that they put in to get this money. Thank you.
Anyone have anything else they'd like to add before we close?
Councillor Burns.
Go ahead.
It was just a question to the CEO, if I could. We talked about the detailed design for the proposed precinct. Has that been finished? And if so, when would elected members get to see that?
No, it hasn't been finished. I'm going to refer to Jodie. She's got a better update on that for me.
Thanks. Through the Deputy Mayor. It'll probably be about 3 months till that's finished. The planning consent has been obtained prior to doing the detailed design for planning for building rules approval. We are we're meeting with the design team weekly, and once the agreement for lease is signed, then they'll start meeting with the user groups to finalise the finer details of things.
Okay, and will that include a site plan as well, or we're just going to get the actual stadium itself?
Through the Deputy Mayor, the site plan's already been provided, and it was part of the development application. I can make sure that they're resubmitted around to council members.
Councillor Kemp.
Go ahead.
Just a clarity question around, is it a usual practice that we take a vote on accepting grants? Because normally I think we just accept them and we get on with business.
Through the Deputy Mayor, this site, it's similar to the previous grant we received. The state government requires it to be signed and sealed. So when a deed has to be signed and sealed, it must come to the chamber for a council resolution for us to apply the common seal. So not all grants require it. So it's not really a motion to support it. It's to actually apply the common seal.
Yep. Thank you very much for the clarification. On page 110 of the agenda, talks about the council's long-term financial plan provides a general provision for the precinct, including 11.7 million contribution, in brackets 15.7 million offset by 4 million grant funding, end of the brackets, to the developer pending decision by council on the method of delivery. My understanding from the beginning, I know things change over time, and this is where it gets a bit cloudy about information, what we can recall. The $4 million was offsetting the council's contribution, and council's changed that on recommendation of the administration to put that as a support for the developer if required. If that's how it's going, because with this 2.5 million, that makes up towards 4 million. So then you've got this South Australian grant of 831,000 for infrastructure, which now we're contributing towards the development as well. So is that $4 million is for the developer?
Yep. So council, thank you for your question through the Deputy Mayor. So council has always stated that it would contribute 11.7, and then there was a decision of the chamber when there was a funding gap that council would actually, it was always going to apply for grant funding, the council was, and originally to offset its contribution. Because of the funding gap, the council made a decision to actually combine its efforts in applying for funding with Accord, the developer, to fill that gap, and that gap is that $4 million. So any funding initially we would utilise to fill that gap, which is the $4 million. So the 831, the 2.5, and if we get an additional 700,000 from state is to fill that gap of that $4 million, with council only still contributing 11.7 from its borrowings, and that 4 million is through grant funding. If council obtains any other funding, it can again either contribute to offsetting its operational costs or reducing that 11.7. But it was a decision of the chamber to fill that gap with grant funding as opposed to just offsetting its $11.7 million.
Yep, thank you for that. Again, I said, because of timelines and so much data has been given to us over time, I've done some research on exactly how much is council contributing to the sports precinct. And I've done a little bit of a table here, just want to read it out. Construction cost of $10 million to support the development. 1.7 million to the developer to offset some losses for the 5 to 7 years. Grant funding of $4 million, which would go towards the developer in those shortfalls of construction costs. Grant funding of 831,000 that goes in for infrastructure upgrade, which would support the developer, in my opinion, because I would imagine a lot of people would think the developer would need to pay for that infrastructure upgrade because that's part of what normally developers do. Our rate rise of 24-25 or 1.2% raised 334,800. The rate rise of 2025-26 of 1% raised 299,100. That's 633,900. Again, we're putting that money towards the precinct in a way of reducing our loans, so we don't have to borrow as much in that respect, or we're paying fees as part of the process of working with the developer, etc. So to me, what I worked out that the council was contributing around $17,164,900, which is different from the 11.7 million that we're telling our community. So we are contributing either directly or indirectly at the time. So that's, to me, that's the true figure of what we're contributing, not 11.7. So I'm just so that's my rationale of what we are doing at the moment in that respect.
That's a good analysis of your figures, but the actual recommendation is to sign the deed. And so if anyone has anything else I'd like to add regarding this particular recommendation, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a clarification question to the CEO, if I may. CFO. If the precinct, we don't get the full government grant funding or the land is not revocated in this term of council, do we have to repay that money, or can that be used for a council solution or a community solution down the road?
So similar to the enabling infrastructure grant, that grant is actually to enable services to the site. So where the council constructs the Wrexham Sport Precinct or Accord does, we would still need to utilise that grant. Similarly, this is stream 1, which is around the actual partnership. So these costs, while it is to fill that gap, it would actually, if the partnership doesn't go ahead, it still has cost money for the council and to try and establish this partnership. And they include the $750,000 for the detailed design drawings that council said it would purchase, and the cost in terms of the agreement for lease. So those costs are already being
Sorry, I was
utilised.
talking about the 2.5 million.
And that's what I was talking about.
Okay. So
It's stream 1 of the regional partnerships grant, and it's about just actually establishing a partnership, and that's what we are eligible for. Stream 2, which we could still apply for, it's not open at the moment, is actually for the construction of the site. So these are still costs incurred by council, and we would still be utilising that grant if the partnership did not come to fruition.
Okay. And if there's any, obviously it may not cover all of the costs. Are we able to use that to pay down debt or?
No.
Okay.
Councillor Mann. Question.
Okay, go
Um,
ahead.
So as noting that there's a $400 million federal funding pool for regional precincts and partnership program. You mentioned that stream 2. Is that something that, 1, we'd be applying for, and 2, if successful, that would offset and reduce some of that 11.7 million contribution?
If it's open, potentially yes, because now we have detailed designs and we have stream 1, which establishes the partnership. So yes, but currently it has not been reopened.
If there's no other questions about the deed, we'll close the debate and I'll call for a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Unanimous decision. Thank you very much. We don't have any confidential items tonight. So at 6:55, we will close our special council meeting. Thank you for coming this evening.